Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Right now, literally as we speak, your body is managing a totally high-performance internal plumbing system. It's perfectly calibrating your blood pressure and your blood volume every single second of the day. We hear the term blood pressure tossed around all the time, but the sheer mechanical elegance keeping those numbers balanced, it's absolutely fascinating. To make sense of all this complex physiology, here's our roadmap. We're going to cover the circulatory basics, decode blood pressure itself, look at the master equation, MAP, break down the pump and pipes, and finally look at regulating the system. All right, let's jump straight into section 1, this circulatory basics. So the human body uses two separate but deeply interconnected circuits. On one side, we have the systemic loop. Think of this as a massive network delivering bright red, oxygen-rich blood from the left side of your heart all the way out to your peripheral tissues. Then, on the flip side, is the pulmonary loop. This one returns that darker, oxygen-depleted blood to the right side of the heart, pumping it straight to the lungs for a fresh gas exchange. It's just a continuous, flawlessly closed-loop system. To actually put this into perspective, our total blood volume sits right around 75 milliliters per kilogram of body weight. But here's the crazy part. The vast majority of that blood isn't actually rushing through your main, high-pressure arteries. Since veins are super stretchable, they hold the highest volume of blood at any given moment. They essentially act like this massive, dynamic storage reservoir that your body can just tap into whenever you need a sudden boost. Moving on to section 2, decoding blood pressure. So what exactly is happening when that blood pressure cuff squeezes your arm at the doctor's office? Well, it really comes down to two distinct phases of the cardiac cycle. Systolic pressure, that's your top number, represents the active, forceful squeeze of your heart. It is the maximum pressure pushing against your vessel walls, and it normally sits right around 120 millimeters of mercury. Now, diastolic pressure, the bottom number, represents your resting tension. It's basically the baseline resistance maintained in the pipes between beats, usually hovering right around 80. And the gap between those two numbers, that is your pulse pressure. So if your blood pressure is 120 over 80, your pulse pressure is 40. This specific metric is absolutely vital. It gives us a direct window into the dynamic stress placed on your vessels with every single heartbeat. In fact, a widening gap over time can actually be an early indicator of stiffening arteries. So yeah, it's a totally crucial piece of the puzzle for your overall cardiovascular health. Okay, section 3, the master equation, MAP. To really understand how your cardiovascular system adapts, like say when you suddenly jump out of bed or start a sprint, we need to look at this master equation, mean arterial pressure, or MAP, equals cardiac output multiplied by total peripheral resistance. This is literally the golden rule of your circulatory system. Your body's ultimate, nonstop goal is to maintain that mean arterial pressure, to keep blood flowing seamlessly to your brain and vital organs. And to do it, it constantly, meticulously tweaks those other two variables to make sure you never run out of oxygen exactly where you need it. Which brings us to section 4, the pump and pipes. Let's deconstruct the variables of that master equation, starting with the pump. The pump in our system is your cardiac output. This is simply the total volume of blood your heart pushes out in one single minute, and it relies entirely on two very straightforward factors: how fast the heart beats, so your heart rate, and how much blood it actually ejects with each powerful squeeze, which is your stroke volume. Now, stroke volume itself is dictated by three main mechanics. Honestly, think of it exactly like pulling back a slingshot. First up is preload. This is the stretching of the heart muscle as it fills with incoming venous blood, literally pulling the slingshot back. Second is contractility, which is the sheer force of the muscle snapping forward to eject the blood. And third is afterload. This is the resistance, or kind of the metaphorical wind, that the heart has to push against to get that blood out into the body's general circulation. On the other side of the equation, the pipes represent total peripheral resistance. This is the collective friction your blood faces as it navigates thousands of miles of complex vascular network throughout your entire body. It's pretty simple. If your blood vessels relax and dilate, resistance drops. But if they clamp down and constrict, resistance shoots up, instantly forcing the pump to work that much harder to maintain forward flow. Next up, section 5, regulating the system. So how exactly does the body automatically tweak both the pump and the pipes to maintain perfect pressure? Well, it all starts with the neural control room. You know when you stand up way too fast and feel dizzy for a brief second? That is when this incredible feedback loop kicks in. Specialized pressure sensors called baroreceptors sit right in your major arteries. If they detect a sudden drop in blood pressure, they immediately fire distress signals straight up to the brain. In a fraction of a second, your brain triggers the sympathetic nervous system to release adrenaline and noradrenaline. This rapid chemical flash instantly speeds up your heart rate, boosts the squeezing force of your heart muscle, and constricts your arterioles to snap that pressure right back up to normal before you even really know what's happening. But alongside the fast-acting nervous system, you also have chemical, humoral mechanisms. Think of these as your longer-term biological brakes and gas pedals. If your blood volume and pressure get too high, a hormone called ANP acts as the brake. It tells your kidneys to flush out excess salt and water, effectively lowering your blood volume and cardiac output. But if pressure drops too low, hormones like aldosterone and angiotensin hit the gas. Aldosterone commands the kidneys to aggressively retain salt and water to boost your overall volume, while angiotensin tightly constricts your blood vessels, directly driving up that total peripheral resistance to restore balance to the system. And finally, regulation happens right down at the local tissue level. In the heart, we have the Frank-Starling mechanism. It acts just like a rubber band. When the heart muscle is stretched by a larger incoming volume of venous blood, it automatically snaps back and contracts harder to pump it all out. Out in the periphery, local blood vessels can literally adjust their own diameter, completely independent of the brain. This ensures that your muscles and organs get exactly the right amount of blood perfusion they need at that exact second. Considering the flawless second-by-second balancing act of MAP equals CO times TPR, isn't it incredible how seamlessly your body's complex plumbing operates, entirely without your conscious thought? The next time you get your blood pressure checked, take a moment to look at those two numbers. Truly appreciate the magnificent automated engineering happening inside you. The neural sensors, the chemical signals, the local tissues, all working tirelessly together to keep that master equation perfectly balanced. It's a true marvel of biological mechanics. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next one.